Hello everyone, welcome back to the Zekko football channel. The Champions League quarter-final draw has been made. We now know the route to Wembley for every team involved. But the big question is, who is going to make it there and who is going to be lifting that illustrious Champions League trophy? Today, we dive in and take a look at who might come out on top. If you are new to the channel, please make sure that you subscribe, you like the video, and you turn on those notifications so you don't miss what's coming up. But now, let's get into it. This is the Champions League draw in its entirety. We have a stack load of games to be talking about and trying to figure out who is going to be lifting the Champions League trophy when the final kicks off at Wembley. We have so many games to be talking about, and of course we're going to be doing breakdowns and analysis of the games when they actually happen. So there is no better time to be subscribed to the channel than right now. If you're new and you want to follow in on our Champions League content, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. We have 4 quarterfinal ties to be talking about. The first one is going to be Atletico Madrid versus Borussia Dortmund. For me, this is a pretty simple affair. I think Atletico Madrid are just going to have a little bit too much for Dortmund. I like Dortmund's flair, I like the way they go forwards, but I just think Atletico Madrid have a bit more nous, a bit more defensive intent, and I think it's knowing how to play games out and how to grind games out, very much like they did against Inter Milan, is what's going to push Atletico Madrid forward in this competition. And Borussia Dortmund, for all of their talent, I just don't think they have that nous, and it's through Diego Simeone and a number of veterans that are in that Atletico Madrid side, Griezmann bringing that quality. I just think they're going to have a little bit too much for the German side. So Atletico Madrid go into the semi-final for me on this one side of the bracket. And then we talk about PSG Barcelona. Now for me, these 4 teams, Atletico Madrid, Borussia Dortmund, PSG and Barcelona, are the weakest side of this group. And the bracket is actually split in half here. We have the 4 sides going into the semi-final on the bottom and the 4 sides going into the semi-final on the top. So we have PSG Barcelona. PSG are looking a little bit more vulnerable. They're losing their stars. Mbappe is set to be leaving. They've lost Neymar, they've lost Messi, but they've started to gain a little bit more balance to the side. And it's this balance that has really pushed them on a bit, I think. Utilising Mbappe still a little bit more and using Gonzalo Ramos and the like, they have a decent side. However, the balance in midfield is not quite right and not quite there for me. And when we talk about Barcelona, they've definitely got some injuries and it's seriously hampering the way that they want to go forwards. Don't get me wrong, they still have some incredible talent. Robert Lewandowski is no one that, or nobody should be really saying that he's past it, 34 years of age, and yeah, he's still banging in the goals continuously. Joao Felix out on that left-hand side, Rafinha out on the right, and then you've got the young talent of Yamal, you've got Pedri, you've got Gavi. They have a number of fantastic players coming through the ranks, and then defensively, in Koundé, in Ronald Araujo, and of course, Andre Ter Stegen is just a match made in heaven when it comes to defensive qualities. Remember, they did have the best defense in La Liga last year, so they can't have fallen too short. I think this game is really interesting. I don't think it's going to be the hot, glamorous affair and tie that we're normally used to, but I do think it will have a lot of grit. I do think it will have a lot of determination from both sides, and I do think that it's going to be really interesting to see. I'm actually not going to go for the favourite in this one. I firmly think that the favourite is PSG, but I think that Barcelona might just have a little bit something about them with regards to Xavi, him leaving at the end of the season, and Barcelona wanting to go out on a high. That being said, PSG are really going to be wanting to do it with Mbappe. His last season at PSG, he's claimed that he wants to leave. Obviously, we know where he might be going. It's a team in white, if you don't know that. But we know that PSG are going to really want to get into this competition. It's their golden goose. It's the one that they can't get, the unobtainable. And of course, they're going to be trying to go for it yet again. Luis Enrique going back against his former side that he managed, the former side that he won the Champions League with. It's always interesting. The storylines are here, and it's going to be incredibly interesting to see. Of course, Barcelona made that comeback against PSG a few years ago, and then you've got the whole Neymar problem moving from Barcelona to PSG. You've got Messi going to PSG after previously being at Barcelona. There are so many different things to be talking about. but I'm not going to go with the favourite. I'm going to go with Barcelona. I just think they might have enough to get over over PSG, not Atletico Madrid. That's later. Over PSG, and I just think they're going to have enough. Then we move into the really hot affairs, the real proper ties. Real Madrid against Manchester City. Now, Madrid have lost Karim Benzema and they have lost a number of players. The likes of Courtois and Militao have been out for the entirety of the season. They are very, very injury stricken at the minute, but they have one of the best midfields in Europe, if not the best midfield in Europe in my opinion. Kroos and Modric are fantastic players, and then you look to the likes of Tchouaméni, Camavinga. Jude Bellingham is arguably the best player in the world at the minute, and then you've got Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo. They have a number of talented stars at their disposal. But do they have the balance to be able to take them through the entirety of the competition? And I'm not so sure. I think Man City are a more well-rounded side. I think they are performing really well in the Champions League. I don't think they're performing as well in the Premier League, but that doesn't really matter. Their cup performances are really on point. Erling Haaland will be the difference maker, I'm sure, at some point, and Kevin De Bruyne will obviously have his say. I think Man City are a more balanced side, and considering the fact that last year Man City beat Real Madrid 5-1 on aggregate, it wouldn't surprise me if they managed to do something similar. I just don't see the same prowess in this Real Madrid side, and I actually don't see the goal-scoring threat as much. They really disappointed me when they played against Leipzig in their previous tie, and for that reason, among others, I just think that Pep is going to get one up again against his Spanish rivals. Of course, he recently came from Barcelona, or previously he came from Barcelona. So I've got Man City going through in this one. That means one English side into the semi-finals of this Champions League tie, and it means we have one more to look at. Arsenal up against Bayern Munich. Now, we talk about storylines, we talk about the narrative that go through into this game, and I've got to say that the storylines are endless for Arsenal and Bayern Munich. Of course, we're talking about that 10-2 loss that Bayern Munich put onto Arsenal one of the last times that Arsenal was in the Champions League. And then we're talking about Harry Kane. Harry Kane. Of course, he moved away from Tottenham Hotspur to go after trophies. He's not looking like he's going to be winning a Bundesliga with Bayern Munich this season, and the Champions League looks like to be his only option for silverware. That being said, Arsenal are going to want to spoil his fun, and what a poetic tie to really make up for the enemy of Harry Kane in Arsenal. He's a Tottenham fan, he played for Tottenham for so long, he scored so many goals for Tottenham against Arsenal, but they are now in his way. And on the flip side of that, Arsenal are now progressing amazingly in Europe. They're one of the top sides, and they're looking to get their first hands on the European trophy. But Harry Kane, former Tottenham player, really standing in their way. The main stopping block is Bayern Munich and Harry Kane to Arsenal progressing that little bit further into the competition. The storylines are all there, guys. And for me, this is going to be one of the key ties. I've actually got this being as the main tie to really look out for. I think Man City, Real Madrid is going to be pretty straightforward, if I'm honest. Arsenal, Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich haven't been very good this season. They are currently 10 points behind Bayer Leverkusen in the Bundesliga. They've struggled to really get through their previous tie, and I've just got to say that Arsenal are looking pretty good, but they struggled against Porto as well. Let's not forget that. It took them to penalties. It could have gone out. For me, I think this is going to be a cracking affair, and we need to remember a really, really key point. For the home game that Arsenal will play against Bayern Munich are not allowed any fans in the ground. No away fans. None whatsoever, due to the recent pyrotechnics that they've been letting off against the likes of Copenhagen and Lazio. They've actually had their away fans banned from European competition in this particular instance, which means that Arsenal will have a full stadium with no Bayern Munich fans, and that will make a difference. Depending on how Arsenal manage to take this, I wonder if it will hurt them being favourites. I think they are favourites for this tie. They are playing the better football, they look like the better side, but European pedigree does make a difference in these ties, so it's going to be really interesting. I've actually got Arsenal going through in this game. I just think they're going to have too much for Bayern Munich. Jamal Musiala and Harry Kane are obviously going to be trying to link up. You've got the likes of Leroy Sané. You've got Serge Gnabry, of course Kimmich, but defensively they look a little bit lackluster, and I'm not quite sure that Upamecano is going to be able to be up to the task against the likes of Trossard, up against the likes of Jesus, and then out on that right hand side, a battle for the ages between the likes of Alphonso Davies and Bukayo Saka. There are so many matchups, so many interesting things, but I've just got Arsenal taking the tie. That means that we have the semi-finals to look at. In these semi-finals, we have Atletico Madrid up against Barcelona. What a cracking tie this is. Now, in my particular instance, I think that Barcelona might take this one. Over the time, over the periods, we've got storylines there as well. We've got Antoine Griezmann leaving Barcelona, going to Barcelona. Joao Felix, can he play? What will happen between Atletico Madrid and Barcelona? I can see Barcelona taking this tie. I was speaking to my friend recently who was a Barcelona supporter, and he's quite down on this. However, I think Barcelona have something in this game, and for me, I think they could go all the way to the final. I think they've got a little bit more than Atletico Madrid, and they know it's all about the experience and the knowledge, and I think they know how to get one up on Diego Simeone's side. It's going to be a really interesting affair, but I think Barcelona will take it. And that leaves the two English clubs on the other side of the bracket, Manchester City up against Arsenal. Of course, this was a massive affair, massive tie, and I think that Man City might just get the upper hand over Arsenal. There are storylines there between the Premier League title race, between Pep Guardiola, Arteta. What will happen there? Arteta recently got the better of Pep Guardiola, but they're going to meet in the league again soon. What will that have? What kind of knock-on effect will that have to the tie if it were to play out this way? So many different things to be talking about, but I think that Manchester City will get the better of Arsenal. I just think that Pep Guardiola will have a bit more European nous than Mikel Arteta. Remember, this is his first foray into European football as a manager, as a Champions League manager, I should say, and then you've got the pressure that the Arsenal players are going to be under. They managed to get through Porto, and if they manage to get through Bayern Munich, confidence will be at an all-time high. However, the team that I think could really put them, or really shoot down their confidence, is Manchester City, who know how to play against them, who know what they're doing, who know how to get the best out of themselves in a real serious situation, and I just don't see Arsenal doing that, unfortunately. I've got Man City going through into the final of the Champions League, and that leaves Barcelona up against Manchester City as the final at Wembley. Of course, you've got massive storylines here. You've got Pep Guardiola, former Barcelona manager, arguably in one of the most successful periods in the last 20 years, going up against his former club. You've got the likes of the young players of, like I've said, Pedri, Gavi. You've got Robert Lewandowski wanting to win a Champions League. Then you've got Man City. Could they win 2 Champions Leagues in a row? That's the next thing to be talking about. What could happen? Could they do it? And unfortunately for Barcelona, I just think that Man City are going to have too much firepower for them. All of the metrics are in their favour, whether it be possession, whether it be passing accuracy, whether it be goals scored, goals conceded, expected goals conceded. Barcelona just aren't really up to that. And unless they get a number of players back, like the likes of Frankie de Jong, Pedri, even then, I think it's a tall order for any team to go up against these powerhouses in Manchester City. Regardless of how you think about them or how you feel about them, they're a good side and they're a really, really good outfit. I think Pep Guardiola is going to take his second Champions League in a row. I think they've broken that duck. I think they've managed to stop it. They've managed to break the curse, and they're going to take it yet again. This is my rundown of the 2023-24 Champions League, I suppose, knockout run. But my question to you guys is, how do you see it playing out? Who do you see coming out on top? And what do you think will be the major, I suppose, surprise? For me, the surprise will be Barcelona beating PSG in this quarter-final. But let me know your surprise in the comment section below. Make sure you give me your thoughts on who is coming out on top and the all-important champions of the entire tournament. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. And I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care.